Let's get going. Good evening. Welcome to the opening of the Voices of St. Joseph's Orphanage Oral History Traveling Exhibition here at the Fletcher Free Library in Burlington, Vermont. We all came together in 2018 after BuzzFeed released a story about the horrors endured by the children who lived at the orphanage. This story finally made officials want to investigate what really went on in St. Joseph's Orphanage. Mayor Amir Weinberger, Burlington Community Justice Center, Vermont State Crime Victims Unit, Vermont State Attorney General's Office, and the state police helped form the Restorative Justice Inquiry Panel and hired Mark Wenberg as the facilitator. With all of their help, we were able to set goals that would help bring us some justice and to finally validate our stories. Our mission is to ensure the safety of children, both now and in the future, and hold accountable those who abuse them. The results you see before you are what we were able to accomplish. Removal of the statute of limitations for physical abuse, added to the removal of statute of limitations for sexual abuse through our Vermont legislature. This exhibition working with Andy Colobos and Vermont Folklife Museum in the recording and archiving of our histories. Members of the group also work with VCF to make a training video for them to use with new employees. The formation of the Voices of St. Joseph's Orphanage Writers Group with Carol Adenofi. And last August, they published their first anthology, which we have books right there. And in the coming months are working on a second book. Also on January 26, 2023, they are having a second virtual theatrical evening through Zoom. You can find more information on the back of our handouts that are at the table there. We also are very grateful for the Burlington Parks and Recreation in the construction of our Memorial Garden healing space behind the former orphanage. After the restoration of the Stone House Cottage next to the former orphanage, this exhibition will hopefully be housed there and be a segue to the Memorial Garden. I would like to say a special thank you to Jim Forbes, who worked with us, DCF, and helping us obtain some of our records and helping us get some help in healing through the state, and who has been instrumental in helping put this exhibition together, taking it down and putting it up multiple times. Jim? And also a special thank you to Sam Hemingway, who has stood with us for many years, who has written so many articles trying to get justice for the children of St. Joseph's Orphanage. And he is here with us today also, Sam. And to our exhibit designer, Craig Harrison, for all the work that he has done on all these panels. Craig? We are very pleased to have with us tonight Burlington Mayor Mira Weinberger to speak at this opening here at the Fletcher Free Library. Mayor Weinberger.
Good evening. Thank you for having me to be part of this event. It's really quite powerful to be here with you and to see these panels. It's the first time. I understand they've been shown in a couple other locations already. It's the first time I've seen them, and it is quite moving to see how much has come out of everything that's happened since the summer of 2018, which was when I first learned of the harm that was inflicted at the St. Joseph's Orphanage. You know, I'm aware that was sort of late. That many there had been a lot of work done long prior to that. I did not move to Burlington until 2002, and somehow that was a chapter that I missed until the BuzzFeed article that was referenced, it came out. And I was deeply moved by the descriptions of abuse, pain, and loss that the residents shared in that article. And it was quickly clear to me that we needed an official accounting of what had transpired at the orphanage in order to bring some measure of resolution to this troubled period in Burlington's history. To that end, I worked with Attorney General Donovan to create the St. Joseph's Orphanage Task Force and give it the charges of supporting both a criminal investigation and, since we were concerned that at this late point there would be limited results that would come out of that investigation, also reviewing the role, the institutions most responsible for the atrocities, reviewing that role and holding them to account and launching a restorative inquiry. It was horrific to read of the decades of abuse and neglect that occurred in the orphanage and within our city, and to know that the cries for help during those long years often went unanswered, unbelieved, and suppressed. In the years since the article, many people have participated in this work, and I am grateful to the detectives at the Burlington Police Department, to Burlington's Community Justice Center, and it's great to have Rachel Joy, the head of our Community Justice Center here, and I know she's been very committed to this work. Burlington Parks Department, the team at the Attorney General's office, and to the many other professionals and community members who dedicated time, skills, and leadership to support the survivors of St. Joseph's Orphanage in this restorative justice process. Above all, I am grateful to the many former residents, including those in the room, of St. Joseph's, who bravely engaged in the painful work of sharing their story. And in doing so, they have really shared a great gift with our community. It is the gift of knowing our history, our true history, so that we can grapple with it, learn from it, and ensure that it's never repeated. I am proud to see the many strong initiatives that have come out of the survivors group working together, and especially glad to see a memorial space being planned at Keyslick Park behind the former orphanage. That's an area of the city that I've been very involved in since we reached this agreement with the current owners of the site to create a new park and to create public access through that park. It is a really hopeful and important vision, I think, that has evolved of how this memorial can be made. We invite all who can make a financial contribution towards the memorial space project at Keyslick Park to do so in whatever amount you can. And Brenda said to me at the beginning she was going to come and talk to me about it, and the city and I want the city to do everything it can as well. So I look forward to that conversation. This event opening at Fletcher Free is an opportunity for us to further shine a light on our own community's past, to acknowledge the former residents' experiences, to listen to their requests for action today, and to engage the broader community in their healing process. As community members, neighbors, leaders, and for those of us who are parents, and for those of our parents, it is critical that we participate in the humble act of reconciliation with our history. We have to acknowledge the harms done in our past and be courageous in expressing sorrow and apology. I hope that with the successful installation of the Voices of St. Joseph's here at the Burlington Fletcher Free Community Library, that the residents who contributed this exhibit into the restorative process and drove its creation feel heard, seen, and believed. Thank you all again for being here tonight. Please, I hope you encourage everyone you know to come appreciate this exhibit while it is here. And I look forward to our continued work together in this important effort. I hate doing this. I regret I'm not going to be able to stay for the rest of the event. I do have another piece of city work I've got to go do now, but it's been an honor to be a small part of this process. And congratulations on everyone who's made meaning to this effort.
Next, we would like to call up John Adams Colitz of the Burlington Parks and Recreation Department, who's on the hot seat tonight.
Yeah, thanks, man. It's comfortably warm, hot, right? I definitely want to thank the mayor, who it looks like had to get on to his next thing, but for his willingness to speak the truth about what happened in the city, and make a commitment to righting the wrongs that occurred there. I've had the good fortune to have worked with a group of survivors, along with many colleagues, of whom tonight Sophie Sauvé is here, and several others from the department, and also unfortunately our director had to leave town on a family emergency, so she couldn't be here, Cindy White. But since early 2021, we've been meeting with the group of survivors, given that it was the heart of COVID. All those engagements were virtual, but they were incredibly powerful. What's happened since that time, as we've gotten to meet some of the survivors in person, and in one profound case, meet someone on the site for their first time in 50 years. That has been by far even more powerful. So as the mayor mentioned, our small group of parks employees have been working to design in Keeslick Park, which, as he mentioned, is a portion of the former grounds of the orphanage, a healing space, a healing garden, that both will recall and remember and sort of subtly etch the past on the landscape while making a broader gesture towards healing and celebrating what really should be an appropriate relationship between children and parks and children and nature. And that is one that is unfettered by the oppression of adults who don't wish them well. Ours was just, as you see here, just a blip of work compared to the greater project that was overseen by Mark Wenberg. I think Mark's work with the survivors transcends, I don't know, it transcends a lot. And I'm just kind of humbled by what he gave our group, and to think that he gave the group of survivors and then all of the individual projects that kind of attention, I think is amazing. I think because of him and because of who the survivors are and were willing to be with us, our small group grew to love this project and to love the people who were working on it. And it was our choice. This project didn't, it kind of came out of our interest in wanting to have this kind of special relationship with who we view as our client, and we need to do what they want to do. And we were really happy to listen to the stories and try to represent something that will be on the landscape that will accomplish all of these goals. And as I mentioned, 13,000 children went through this institution not by choice. And so I think every moment that we spent with them, it was, we reminded ourselves that it was our choice to work on this project, but it was not their choice to live the circumstances that created the need for the project in the first place. Our work was focused and involved close collaboration. Every idea was vetted, every metaphor explored and discussed. Mark helped tremendously by taking surveys and soliciting input from survivors outside of our formal sessions, which I think really helped to kind of bring the group together and make some decisions that were hard. Our final design seeks to acknowledge both individual and collective trauma, heal both human and ecological wounds. In addition to the human stories that happened on the landscape at what is now Keeslick Park, there's also a lot of kind of not very subtle and sensitive treatment of the landscape. And we view the healing of the human trauma and the landscape trauma as it were, can be woven together into the project. And I think that really represents an optimistic and positive outlook to the future and the way humans can be in it. I have to admit this, and I think this is good. The project challenged us, and it continues to challenge us. This tug of, not tug of war, but tug of just tension, I guess, of like, do we represent the individual or do we try to represent the 13,000? And I think, no one's perfect. No one can automatically cede their personal story to the story of 13,000, but that is one of the tough things that's come up. And I think we've done it. Mark, I think, is masterful at sort of weaving that stuff together and taking care of the conversations and the listening that needs to happen to kind of make sure that everyone's on board. So what we're hoping to do with the design is remember and honor all 13,000 of the children. That number I keep coming back to just kind of astounds me, given just the handful of stories that we've heard, to think that that was multiplied by that number. I want to talk a little bit about the elements of our design and what they mean and what I hope they mean deeply to the survivors. There are basically three strong elements, and one of them we sort of had you live on the way up here tonight. You may have noticed some stuff on the ground. And that is what we are referring to in our design as the swaths. And they represent two things. There are two colors, and they are comprised of wildflowers that will bloom and duplicate the color that's illustrated both on the ground here at the library and in the plan. The first of which we see right here is a straight axis or line of yellow blooming flowers. And that represents the straight line that came straight out of this kind of central axis of the former orphanage building and went straight down to the lake. And along that kind of rigid, unbending line, the children were segregated. Boys, all activities were on one side, girls, all activities on the other. We certainly heard stories about very specific places on that line that were not where good things happened. But we want to remember that line and how the children traveled to the is it a motion detector or something? The room is falling asleep. We want to remember that line and what it meant to the children. Because along that line, they experienced some good things. The railroad tracks, the lake, specific trees, flowers, plants, probably insects and all that, the things that kids appreciated. But I think always there was the trip back up the hill to the building. So that's one piece of this. And then as you wound your way up the stairs or took the elevator, there's also the serpentine swath of blue or purple blooming wildflowers. And those are meant to symbolize the healing and the stitching together of both the landscape and the lives of these 13,000 children. And generally be hopeful. And over time, as you'll see in one of the illustrations on the plan, both those lines will sort of dissipate into the landscape like a healing scar or wound, but we'll all know that they're there. The second primary element in our design is a collection of what are referred to as glacial erratic boulders. Those are boulders, they'll be large, 1 to 3 tons, that were transported by glaciers and interestingly enough, didn't have a choice in where they were dropped off by the glaciers. And that connects to the idea that the children did not have a choice, that they had to live their childhoods on this landscape. But like a lot of circumstances like that, I think a lot of the children found a way to hold on to beauty inside. We're going to split these boulders and polish the insides and engrave stories that the writers group is working on, and we'll put those words on the stones and then install them along an accessible path that will be built in conjunction with the feral development that connects the feral development to the bike path in an accessible way. And then finally, the third element is a central arbor structure that we're currently working on with a local artist. And I view that as the celebration of our work together. I think it means different things to different people, but it is also located at a really key piece on the landscape that marks the intersection of these paths kind of coming together and crossing in the middle of the landscape. So yeah, we want to build this. I think everyone that participated in this project wants to build this, and we're in the process of putting together a fundraising group, and I think already there's a GoFundMe page that is available, and we want to start raising some money to build this project, and we want to do it soon. So, thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Mary Danko, and I'm the director here at the Fletcher Free Library. Welcome to our library. We're honored to have this exhibition here at the library, and I'm grateful to all the organizations and to everyone involved who's made this exhibit possible to be here. I'd like to give a special mention to Barbara Shatera, our programming and partnerships librarian, who is got ill and couldn't be here tonight. She's sorry she couldn't be here, but she was the key library staff person who worked with all the folks to get the exhibit here. So we're grateful for her work. Libraries are keepers of stories, and we promote access to those stories, whether in books, audiobooks, films, programming, or in exhibits like the one here today. We believe that stories have impact and facilitate change. Sometimes the stories that we're caretakers of are joyous, and sometimes they're painful. All of them have the potential to cause us to reflect, to learn, to inspire, to help, to understand, and also hopefully to move us as human beings so that we can work towards creating a better life for all of us. This exhibit is a story built from many stories. We here at the library are hopeful that it will be seen by many people and have consequential impacts that make a difference. Thank you very much.
Up next is Mark Winger.
It's thank you for all coming for this evening. I just want to say first that it has been a privilege of my work in restorative justice to work with the voices of St. Joseph's Orphanage Group, a true privilege to me. It's a remarkable collection of people who had a shared experience, a really traumatic and difficult shared experience by being placed at St. Joseph's Orphanage. And as John mentioned, it was not their choice to be there. And each of the members will tell their own story in their own way, in their own perspective, in their own voice. And one of the things I love about this exhibition is you actually get to hear their own stories in their own voice, in their own perspective, and it's built right into the exhibition itself. So I think the oral histories that were collected by the Vermont Folklife Center that are integrated into this exhibit are one of the most powerful elements if we take the time. And so I was blessed to have quite a bit of time to work with this group of people. I worked with them for 2.5 years, almost 3 years. There is a new facilitator who is here with us this evening, Judy Cyprian, who's working with the group now. I also want to say it was a gift to me, both personally and professionally, to be a part of this project. In restorative justice, we view harm through the lens of relationships. And the people who were at St. Joseph's Orphanage, who were children at the time, were deeply impacted by the harms that they experienced. And some of those folks are here this evening, and they're now in their 60s and 70s and 80s. So when harm happens in restorative justice, it creates needs and obligations. And it's the members of the group who articulated what those obligations are. One of which is the exhibition, another is the writers group, the third is the changing of statutes, and the park itself is also an obligation that they have voiced collectively. And they've waited a really long time for justice. Not quietly, but they've waited a long time. So one of the healing visions that they have put forward is, as John was describing, this park out on the former orphanage grounds, which I can't think of as a better place. I can't think of a better place for this type of work. And so from my perspective as a restorative justice facilitator, it is our obligation as a community to meet this need, to meet this request. It's incumbent upon us. And so this evening is for us a kickoff effort to begin work on this park and to see it through to completion, which is going to require the participation of the entire community by spreading the word, by raising funding, and then working with Parks and Rec to make it happen. So that's basically my request. Please spread the word this evening. And if you know folks who could be inspired by this project to help this group of people, this group of individuals, find at least some element of justice, let's make it happen. Thank you.
I'd like to call Carol Adenofi, the instructor of the writers group, who has tirelessly been working with us and the writers group to accomplish so many spectacular events. Carol.
So heartening to see everyone here. So many intersecting projects, artistically created for healing. It's really, really impressive and inspiring. I'm going to start with a fragment of the introduction to the writers group's first anthology. And although it mentions what happens in creative writing groups, I really mean this wholeheartedly towards the entire Voices of St. Joseph's group. All of you have done such extraordinary work. Can everyone hear me okay? How about now? When thinking about facilitated creativity that is focused on trauma, I see the forces of nature, rivers and volcanoes. As traumatic memories are brought to the surface, the experience can be overwhelming. Individuals who have undergone childhood abuse in the act of remembering have reported sensations of drowning, of being flooded. Through the process of creative writing in a structured workshop setting, that intensity and pain is channeled into an enactment of meaning. So I'm only going to speak briefly. Caitlin Hoffman is here in the room, and 4 other members of the writers group are here in spirit and virtually tuning in from Alaska, Utah, Florida, and Connecticut. Caitlin will be reading a short poetic statement that she wrote to represent, hopefully, the entire group outside of the writers group as well. And the writers chose Michael Ryan's piece called The Little Avocado Pepper Shaker to read, to present as representative of the group's work. The piece, along with 4 other monologues by the group, will be performed by professional actors online on January 24th. And there are flyers over there with a QR code, my first QR code ever. So you can register there, but we hope that you'll be able to join us virtually. The evening is entitled The Buffer and Other Quiet Acts of Defiance. And it'll be a free, inspiring evening of theater and restorative justice, much in the spirit of the original Greek theater. Its purpose not as pure entertainment and escape, but as a forum for civic discourse through the tragedies and the comedies. You'll hear actually some wit and comedy in Michael's piece. It's extraordinary, as all the pieces are. So this is an opportunity, like all of these initiatives, to build empathy. And here it will be done through the dramatization of human experience and therefore widen circles of concern. We hope you'll join us, and thank you for being here tonight. And Caitlin is going to read her statement and then Michael's piece.
Everybody hear me okay? We've risen from the torment of a life in the orphanage. For many years, we've gone our separate ways. Closer. We've risen from the torment of a life at the orphanage, and for many years, we've gone our separate ways. Now we're back, and together, we're helping to create a space of peace and healing on the very grounds where so much harm is done to so many children. This memorial healing space will honor those of us who have survived, as well as those of us who did not. And this is a preview of January 26th event by Marco, the little avocado pepper shaker by Michael Ryan. The little avocado pepper shaker sat in my pocket like a secret from our greatest enemies, not shaped like an avocado, but rather a barrel with grapevines. Avocado green, like everything else in the 70s, shag carpet, tile, curtains, and more, that hideous shade that you could just not unsee. Little avocado barrel-shaped grapevine covered pepper shaker, stolen from the nuns. Not sure what came over me. I was running an errand and had to go pass through their private dining room. There it was, sitting on the table right next to me. I slid it into my pocket. Not like me at all. I guess I saw an opportunity and I capitalized on it. Would have gotten me a beating if I'd been found out. I was known for being a very quiet and shy boy. I guess they thought they'd tame me, but I don't think so. So I guarded that little pepper shaker as jealously as a dragon guards its treasure. They used to do random searches for beds and lockers, so I kept it in my pants pocket and I took it with me wherever I went. When we went to the dining room, I sat with my back to the nun and proceeded to spice up my bland, unappealing meal. Then I passed it underneath the table to the boy next to me, and around it went, so all 5 boys could share on my ill-gotten brains. This was a stealth operation. Careful not to drop it, we said to everyone with our eyes. But we were playing with fire here. We knew if we were caught, we could count on the worst punishment imaginable. This lasted only 1 month. Finally, it was empty and I ditched it. I was 9 years old. 50 years later, and to this day, I still don't know why I did it, but I did. And it felt so good. That little avocado green pepper shaker is worth more to me than gold. Still is.
Hello, everyone. I just want to say a couple of brief words, but we're all using the same words and language, which is really awesome. We're all unanimously in the same voice. That's so cool. So hi, my name is Mary Ellen Goodrow. I was at the orphanage as a baby from August 1965 until November of 1965 when I was adopted. So to me, this special place, it validates and supports all of the orphans, past, present, and future, while at the same time, it eliminates the oppression and suppression in those stigmas of the past. And this space is designed for everyone to receive peace and to celebrate a way of supporting all children. Okay, thank you so much for being here and participating. Thank you.
Yep, my name is Debbie Hazen. I live in Florida, where it's a bit warmer than you are. I hope you all get a chance to see the entire exhibit here at the Fletcher Free Library. We're all very grateful to them for so graciously displaying this exhibit. Sorry, I can't talk tonight. You may recognize me in pictures, especially the one of me with the nun's hands around my neck. She was displaying how much control she had over us. And she was so bold and brazen about it that she did that right in front of my father as he was taking the photograph. It's taken a long time for me to come from there to get to where I am now in a much more healthy and peaceful place. We as a group are so proud of all the work that we're doing, all with the safety of the children in mind, and to bring an awareness of child abuse. I envision happy children with their families walking through Keeslick Park, alongside of beautiful flowers just dancing in the breeze. The children may play and climb on the rocks placed here and there, which have little lines of encouragement and lines of the past. As they wander through, they may stop to sit on a bench to enjoy the beauty and peacefulness of this memorial healing space. It warms my heart to know how much love and dedication the crew from Burlington Parks and Recreation have put into this project so far. I know it's going to be a beautiful place of peace. So thank you all for all the hard work. And please enjoy the exhibit. Thank you.
Thank you for having us. It's been an honor, and everybody's words are really quite awesome. So thank you very much. The playground was a place of peace and serenity. And I think the playground was the place where most of the laughter came from. So for that to be transformed into a memorial healing space where more laughter can be, is just such an honor. And I'm just so happy and grateful that I'm actually alive to be able to maybe see this come to fruition. So thanks everyone for having us.
Is there any other participants here that would like to say something? Linda, like to come up?
Hi, I am a member of the group. My name is Linda. I hope I don't pass out on you. But I didn't expect to speak. I would have wore a dress or something had I known. I'm just trying to drop a few light things in there. But I want to say that being a traumatized child stays with you for a lifetime. It affects, you can accomplish many things throughout your life. You can work your entire life, bring up a family, but the trauma stays with you. I'm probably in the latest or the oldest generation of survivors in the orphanage. I wasn't there a long time, but enough to have a profound fact. About 2 years ago, I accidentally came across a documentary on YouTube. It was a 15-minute documentary, and it was called The 5 Most Evil Orphanages in the United States. And St. Joseph's Orphanage of Burlington, Vermont was number 4. And I'm sorry to be having a difficult time with this, but I'm just, it takes a lot of pull in a community to help children come back from, give them a chance to heal. And the government previously that shut doors on us is just, there's, you can't just understand. But now things have come around, and I'm so grateful for Mark and so many others that have come forward since 2018. Parks and Rec are amazing. I've been on the committee and I thought that we were just going to have something very simple to commemorate, you know, and to be there, but they just threw everything and just have honored us so greatly. It's amazing, you know, the Keeslick Park to the entire park to honor, you know, the whole situation, to honor all the survivors and all those who went through some terrible bad things there. It's just, I can't say enough for the city of Burlington and all the group at Parks and Rec who have just thrown their hearts into it for us. And it's just wonderful, and they're wonderful people, and I've enjoyed every minute that I've been and I've been able to be part of meetings with them. And I just can't say enough. And I hope that the community will extend their arms and their hearts out to help the community bring Keeslake Park together. And there are many survivors of the orphanage that have long been deceased that I know are looking down and I'm hopefully are appreciating and will appreciate and find some peace in Keeslake Park. Thank you for being here.
Is there anyone else that would like to say something brief?
What if you're not in the and you have a brief story that I wanted to hear?
Go ahead.
Yeah, okay. Because I wanted to talk a little.
Introduce yourself.
I'm Jeanette O'Brien, and I wanted to talk a little about my mom, who was an Italian immigrant and came here through Ellis Island with her parents. And a lot of the people that were at the orphanage and in my mother's family, I just learned a couple of days ago that my mother was actually there. I thought it was one of her best friends. But my mom, anyway, just wanted to get this out. That there's 15 children in my mother's family. And she had to, they were really farmed out because she didn't just stay, I think two of her brothers went to the orphanage briefly, but she, it was like slave labor because she had to go to a farm. And the story, my mom would be 110 now, but I have this all written down and I'm going to write my own. I have an outline of the book that I'm going to write. She always said, oh no, don't tell anything that happened. They're all dead and they're all in the mafia. So you don't need to bring any of this up. But I really think it should be told. And yeah, so she had to go work out for at least three years, and I think she was 14. So the government played a big role in the Catholic Church in treating these children so horrendously. Anyway, I wanted to give voice to it because, like I said, sister just told me the other day that she goes, well, mom was actually there. And I thought she never was there. I thought it was her other friend, her good friend. So, yeah, I would like the Catholic, I have to share this with you quickly. My mom had a great sense of humor. And when she was about 90, she had to go to the emergency room. It was Mary Fletcher, medical center. I call it the big house. So she had to go in, and there was 3 or 4. There was a Catholic priest that they brought in because they thought my mom wasn't going to recover, but I knew my mother, she would. And so they said, oh yes, well, what religion are you? And my mom said, well, I used to be Catholic before all the pedophiles took it over, and all the doctors were all, laughing. They couldn't believe my mom said this. But when she was I think she went to Cathedral, there's so many horrendous stories there also at Cathedral School. And anyway, I just wanted to share and thank all of you survivors. And
Thank you very much. So this concludes the formal part of our evening. Everybody there's a few snacks and just enjoy. And thank you all so very much for being here. Again, a big thank you to the library and the staff for doing this wonderful display for us. Thank you all.